The story begins with our main protagonist, called Hinata shortly. Hinata dreams of getting the view above the net, but he knows he must first get past the wall that would be in front of him. He's super excited for his first inter-school match with his team with hopes of making it through the rounds. However, the atmosphere soon changes with the arrival of their opponents who all look like they're leagues above them. Hinata suddenly gets an upset stomach, so he runs to the bathroom. Here he meets some players of the opposing team making fun of his team. He tells them not to write off his teammates, but is paid no attention due to his short stature. Just then, Kagayama Tobio comes in to instruct the boys to assemble for warm-up. When he overhears them belittling Hinata's team, he scolds them bluntly while reminding them that benchwarmers have no right to talk big. When the game begins, Hinata's teammates are so bad they can't make contact with the serve, let alone receive it. In the past, being the only member of the volleyball team meant Hinata had nobody to train with. He had to beg Izumi from the football team to toss for him at any opportunity he gets. Back in the game, Izumi finally succeeds in setting the ball, which Hinata jumps to hit, but the attempt is blocked. As the game continues, Hinata has all his hits blocked by the front row players. Due to their weak opponents, Kagayama's teammates become lax, but he snaps at them to get serious as Hinata manages to steal a point. During the next play, the setter misses his toss and the ball goes in the wrong direction. In the blink of an eye, Hinata paces all the way to the other side to spike the ball, but his efforts are wasted as it goes out. Although he failed to win the point, his abilities continue to puzzle Kagayama even after the match. Outside, Hinata confronts Kagayama, who is nicknamed the King of the Court, vowing to defeat him in the future. Months later, Hinata attends his new high school with so much excitement. He quickly goes to the volleyball court but is shocked to find Kagayama training inside. Hinata freezes, trying to piece together the possibility of Kagayama being in Karasuno High School. Since Hinata came to Karasuno to get revenge on Kagayama, he isn't happy that Kagayama chose Karasuno instead of a bigger school. Kagayama then reveals he was only there because he was rejected by the top schools. The seniors then arrive with their attention focused on Kagayama, who is popular and quite tall for his age. When they finally notice Hinata, his height is immediately mentioned, so he reminds them of his jumping ability. When Hinata mentions that he dreams of becoming the team's ace player, Kagayama reminds him his skills are too terrible. This leads to a rivalry that is interrupted by the school's principal. Although he thought they were fighting, the idea is immediately debunked. However, Hinata challenges Kagayama to a contest. Kagayama's first serve comes as a shock to Hinata, who isn't used to something so intense. He asks for another chance, but this time, he manages to position himself well to receive. However, he misses, making the ball hit the principal on the head and knocking off his wig. After the contest, the captain, called Daichi, gives them a brief speech which he ends by throwing Hinata and Kagayama out of the court until they can get along with each other. The next morning, Hinata and Kagayama begin training together to build up their chemistry and teamwork. When they start arguing again, Tanaka reminds them they should hurry up before the captain finds out about their secret training. Just then, Sugawara catches them in the act but promises to keep his mouth shut. While training in the evening, they are interrupted by Tsukishima and Yamaguchi, the other first years who joined the volleyball team. Hinata quickly affirms his resolve to win their entrance match on side, but Tsukishima reveals he has no interest in taking the game seriously. Hinata continues his training routine all through the week with help from Tanaka, Kagayama, and sometimes Sugawara. After a few days, Hinata improved so much he can now return Kagayama's serves properly. He finally gets acknowledged by Kagayama, who gives him a toss he has been eagerly working hard to get all through the week. Kagayama dreams of his time with his previous team when he got abandoned for being too egocentric on the court. Before the game, Tsukishima reminds him once more of his bad past in hopes of disorienting him. Noticing this, Tanaka quickly changes the mood with his delinquent style of ranting. When the game begins, Hinata is given a nice set, however his spike is blocked by Tsukishima. He continues to block all Hinata's spikes, and after a while, he edges Kagayama on by asking him to make the killer toss that got him his bad reputation. When asked, Tsukishima explains to Hinata that revealing Kagayama got his nickname from his teammates. This made Kagayama recall an incident where he tried to set faster when his teammates couldn't keep up. As a result, they stopped trying to hit his sets and he was told to sit on the bench by the coach. Back in the game, Hinata reminds Kagayama that he doesn't care about his past as long as he passes the ball for him to strike. Tsukishima then turns his attention to Hinata, telling him he isn't cut out to be a striker because of his height. However, this doesn't work on Hinata, who has a solidly based motivation. When the game resumes, Kagayama tries the fast set, but Hinata can't keep up with the timing of the ball. With the new approach not working, Sugawara advises Kagayama to take advantage of Hinata's potent abilities. This gives Kagayama an idea, so he tells Hinata to jump and swing without looking at the ball. Resuming the game, Kagayama put his plans into motion by carefully observing the court. At the right moment, he tosses the ball to Hinata, who hits it perfectly. Daichi surprisingly reveals to everyone that Hinata hit the ball with his eyes closed. For the next few plays, the no-look toss doesn't work anymore, so everyone starts thinking it was a fluke. Hinata suddenly makes a fast opposite run, and although Tsukishima tries to block, the speed of the attack overwhelms him. With this improved play, Team Kagayama managed to turn the tables and win the set, thus making Tanaka excited. For the second set, Tsukishima seemingly put in more effort. However, his lone abilities fall short in stopping Kagayama's perfect sets. After the game, the first years are given their gym outfits and are formally welcomed into the team. Shortly after, the team advisor, called Takeda, rushes in with the notice of a practice match with another team called Aoba Josai. However, he adds that the match can only be possible if Kagayama is allowed to be the team's setter all through the match. Although this means that Sugawara, the team's main setter, would have to be benched. The night before the practice match, Hinata doesn't get a wink of sleep due to the anxiety of playing his second official match. En route to the school, Tanaka notices Hinata's state just before it gets worse as he develops a sudden stomach ache and throws up on Tanaka. The vibe inside the school's gymnasium surprises Hinata, who is already nervous, so Daichi adds that every member of the Aoba Josai team is known for their balanced attacking and defensive skill. While coming from the bathroom, Hinata encounters one of Kagayama's ex-teammates called Daichi. He hopes to ascertain whether Kagayama still has his egotistic attitude, so Hinata confirms almost everything until they disagree about his sets. When Daichi states that Kagayama's set is impossible to hit, Tanaka comes in and tells them to wait to be surprised during the match. At the last minute before the game, Karasuno's manager, Kyoko, mounts more pressure on Hinata unknowingly. When the game begins, Hinata goes for a ball that isn't his, but the others don't complain. He keeps going at balls and losing points, so Kagayama finally snaps at him. The situation gets even worse as it's Hinata's turn to serve. He freaks out knowing his service is bad, and when he serves, as predicted, not only does he lose the point, the ball ends up hitting Kagayama from behind. Ready to get the scolding of a lifetime, Hinata is shocked that Kagayama took a gentle approach with him. During the second set, Hinata misses a perfect set, so Daichi teases him that Kagayama might get mad at him. However, he is shocked when he notices Kagayama apologizing to Hinata. In the next play, Hinata succeeded in hitting the set so fast their opponents can only stare. Karasuno wins the second set to the surprise of the opponent's coach, who notes they were better than expected. Just then, Oikawa, Aoba's main setter and captain, arrives. Kagayama, who has a history with him, explains that not only is his attack superb, but he also has a terrible attitude. Since Kagayama learned his play from him, Hinata decides to nickname him the Great King. Oikawa is subbed in at the last moment of the match to serve. His serve comes with so much impact it almost blows off Tsukishima's arm. To face this ridiculous serve, Daichi adjusts the formation. However, Oikawa still aims the ball at Tsukishima's position. Although he receives it this time, the ball goes back to the opponent as a chance ball. They immediately make use of their advantage, but Hinata appears to intercept Daichi out of nowhere. In a flash, he pays to the other part of the court to spike Kagayama's fast set to win the final point. Back at home, Daichi points out the team's lack of skill and how a coach would go a long way, so Takeda promises to do something about it. The following day in the gym, someone suddenly receives Kagayama's serves out of the blue, and instead of complimenting him, Hinata goes straight to comparing heights. He lets out tears of joy for finally finding someone shorter than him. Afterward, the seniors introduce Nishinoya to the first years. Nishinoya immediately asks for Asahi, and when he is told he isn't back, he flares and leaves while stating he would only return if Asahi does too. When Nishinoya begins training the first years on how to receive the ball, Hinata brings up Asahi. Nishinoya explains that Asahi is supposedly the team's ace, but he is a winner. Later, Takeda begs a store owner, called Yukai, to help coach the team. It turns out his grandfather was also the team's coach, but he just doesn't have the interest anymore. But Takeda continues to persuade him even when he keeps getting turned down. The next day, Sugawara goes to beg Asahi to return to the team by explaining how the team is finally transforming for the better, but he doesn't give in. While going out, he bumps into Kagayama and Hinata. He gets friendly with them during the introduction, but still doesn't agree to return due to personal reasons. When he leaves, Sugawara explains that Asahi probably doesn't like volleyball anymore. In training, Takeda comes in to announce a practice match has been arranged with a rival school called Nikoma. Although Nishinoya wants to play, he explains that he won't, as it would mean the team is moving on without Asahi. Later, Hinata and Kagayama go to beg Asahi yet again, so this time he explains that he has given up on spiking past blockers who always shut him down. Hinata relates with him, but then adds that Kagayama has given him the opportunity to bypass the hurdle, and while he speaks on, Asahi unwillingly gets inspired by his speech. During training, Asahi sneaks a peek at Hinata's play and hits jumps. He gets caught by Daichi, but before he makes a run for it, he stops upon hearing the practice match with Nekoma. Takeda also uses the same strategy at the store, and finally gets Yukai interested in coaching the team who wants to play a match against his friend's team. Later, Takeda introduces the team to their new coach, who immediately reveals he has a local match arranged already. After a while, the visiting local team arrives but with 2 players short. As a result, Nishinoya is asked to play with them. Asahi also shows up suddenly, so the coach asks him to join in quickly. For the setter, Sugawara volunteers to play for the visiting team. Although this means he is giving his starting position to Kagayama, he doesn't mind as he thinks him much more capable than himself. During the game, Hinata hits a fast toss that surprises the coach as well as Asahi, who was spacing out. This led him to recall his spirit-breaking experience with a team who are good at blocking. After the game, Nishinoya snaps at Asahi for giving up in the middle of a match, and this led to a heated moment that made Asahi quit the team. Back in the present, Asahi gets a chance to spike but is blocked. However, Nishinoya surprisingly saves the ball to keep it in play for another spike. This time, Sugawara hesitates on who to give the ball to since Asahi still isn't confident. However, Asahi suddenly screams for a toss, and when he gets it, the spike carries so much momentum, it goes through the wall of blockers. Witnessing Hinata and Kagayama's fast play, Coach Yukai gets confused. He calls on Hinata, who reveals he simply jumps and hits the ball without looking at it. When faced with Asahi, Hinata tries to block, but his effort is ineffective. He marvels at Asahi's talent instead of listening to Kagayama's instructions about his terrible form. He continues to space out and ends up getting hit by the ball he was supposed to receive. After causing a panic, he gets up with no injuries only to face a round of scolding from Kagayama, who noticed he was comparing himself to Asahi in terms of strength and height. For the next play, Kagayama reveals to the opponent he would set for Hinata and asks them to block him. When the game continues, Hinata is able to avoid the blockers thanks to Kagayama's set, which successfully proves he doesn't have to be the ace to score points too. The game begins going in the local team's favor due to their float serves the first years struggle to properly receive. With Asahi scoring the final point by blasting through the blockers, the local team wins both sets. After, Coach Yukai focused more on the teams receiving all through the first day of the training camp. At the lodge, everyone's spirit is lifted by Kyoko's warm presence. The next day, Takeda and the coach discuss the burden of picking the starting lineup. Between Kagayama and Sugawara, Yukai is undecided, so Takeda points out it must be because he can relate to the feeling of being benched by a junior. While jogging, Hinata gets too fired up and ends up getting lost. He encounters another student who also got lost but with a different school uniform. The timid boy then introduces himself as Kenma. As soon as the two boys begin to get along while discussing volleyball, their little conversation is interrupted by a teammate. Later, Sugawara approaches the coach asking him not to be sentimental towards the third years. He reveals he doesn't mind Kagayama being the main setter as long as the team gets to move forward. The next day, Kyoko brings in their new uniforms and Kagayama and Hinata get the number 9 and 10 jerseys respectively. The next day, both teams arrive for the long-awaited matchup. When Hinata goes to greet Kenma, he gets intimidated by Yamamoto. Luckily, Tanaka shows up and the two similar boys end up embarrassing themselves. At the beginning of the game, Karasuno starts the offense with a fast attack that leaves everyone awestruck. Faced with a challenge, Nekoma is forced to call for a timeout. Here they discuss how to cripple the opponent, so Kenma suggests they stop Hinata from spiking. With Kenma's calculations, they manage to come closer to blocking Hinata's spike. For the next play, Tanaka makes a save, so Nishinoya ends up setting for Kagayama, who surprisingly hits a perfect spike. Meanwhile, Kenma notices Tsukishima's intelligence, so during the next play, he uses it to his advantage and succeeds in fooling him. The coach then explains that since Kenma is a loner, he is good at observing people, and he uses this skill to his advantage in volleyball. Soon after, Nekoma comes from behind to lead the score line. During the last play, Hinata gets so determined to win the point that he opens his eyes, but he gets totally shut off this time, making Nekoma win the set. Again, Hinata gets his spike blocked each time, but still the coach doesn't substitute him. This is because he hopes that Hinata would use the opportunity to find a solution to his weakness during this practice game. Surprisingly, Hinata doesn't feel discouraged. Instead, he smiles and welcomes the challenge. Moving forward, he tries to look at the ball but misses his swing in the process. Even with the coach's guidance, Hinata continues to miss the sets as he isn't used to thinking on his own. Despite the misses, Coach Yukai explains that the little giant, a short player who exhaled in mid-air attack, was once like Hinata, so he believes in Hinata's room for growth. When the player blocking Hinata gets switched, his height fight scares him, so Kageyama proposes they do the quick attacks against him instead. Luckily, the plan works and they score an easy point. Rather soon, Nekoma changes their style of play by creating a decoy while the ball is spiked from the back. The coach then takes initiative and motivates the team to blast through the defense, which is their stronger suit. This works and they manage to close the score to a 2-point gap. The scoreline becomes a close one, but with Chemna's dink, Nekoma reaches the match point. However, Karasuno doesn't lose spirit as they become more fired up with Hinata and Asahi in the front vanguard. For the deuce point, Asahi slams it in, but his spike is saved. The ball comes in high, so he is ordered to spike directly again, but the coach. Yet again, his spike gets blocked, but they have another chance to have a go at offense a third time. This time, Hinata makes a confident run to the right, and so Kageyama sends him the ball. Although he slams it in, Nekoma saves the ball yet again, and they manage to turn the chance ball into the winning point to seal their win. Afterward, Hinata requests they keep playing, though all the sets end in Karasuno's loss. After the game, Nekoma's coach expresses how impressed he was with the game and praises their potential to get better. And this brings the anime to an end. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.